system is predicated on the idea of academic ability. And there's a reason. The whole system was invented around the world. There were no public systems of education really before the 19th century. They all came into being to meet the needs of industrialism. Take us into this future that we can't grasp. Put us in a place where we have no idea what's going to happen in terms of the future. No idea how this may play out.
A place in society that we really need to rethink the idea of schools.
America's high schools are obsolete.
But I do believe that if we do not make changes soon, schools will be irrelevant in a sense.
By obsolete, I mean our high schools, even when they're working as designed, cannot teach all our students what they need to know today.
The whole world is engulfed in a revolution.
What happens to traditional concepts of classrooms and teaching when we can now learn anything, anywhere, anytime?
Our high schools were designed 50 years ago to meet the needs of another age.
And the second is academic ability, which has really come to dominate our view of intelligence because the universities designed the system in their image.
We really have never had a choice in the way that we brought learners together. It's all been about the fact that you live on the same street, then you're roughly the same age, put you in a room together, and you learn.
If you think of it, the whole system of public education around the world is a protracted process of university entrance.
As teachers, the one thing that's sort of missing is we don't really get this.
Our education system has mined our minds in the way that we strip mine the earth for a particular commodity. And for the future, it won't serve us. We have to rethink the fundamental principles on which we're educating our children.
But we're looking at the same old curricula. We're doing the same activities that we always did. We're not embracing this particular reality.
Until we design them to meet the needs of this century, we will keep limiting and even ruining the lives of millions.
And seeing our children for the hope that they are. And our task is to educate their whole being so they can face this future. By the way, we may not see this future, but they will. And our job is to help them make something of it. Thank you very much.
But because of this digital bombardment, because of the new digital landscape, that the brains of the digital generation have been affected, that the brains of the digital generation have changed both physically and chemically, and that as a result of this, that our children are actually neurologically wired differently than we are. That has actually grown up with a mouse in their hands, that images on a screen are supposed to be manipulated and interacted with, that screens aren't just for passive viewing and consumption. Digital is their language of choice. We come from a time and a place before digital technology. Many of us have old country traditions and assumptions about how the world works. Is that these students of ours have become very sophisticated thinkers who, amongst other things, have learned to take risks without being reckless, or have learned to deal with failure, are confident, are motivated, and expect a lot of themselves in areas that they care about. If our children are going to survive, let alone thrive, in the culture of the 21st century, be prepared for their future, not our past. And we as educators need to help them learn how to use both hemispheres effectively to be able to use a whole new mind.
Who seriously believes that locking 25 students in a small room with one adult for several hours a day, every day, is the best way for them to be educated? Every student can learn, just not on the same day or the same way. George Evans. Why do we think every 6-year-old is going to be at the same place in math, English, and all the other subjects, so we clump them together? We already live in a time of disconnect, where the classroom has stopped reflecting the world outside its walls. The classroom is born of an industrial mode of thinking. The greatest hurdle in education reform is that society doesn't have a clear vision of what school is for. If you put a doctor of 100 years ago in today's operating room, she would be lost. Yet if you place a teacher of 100 years ago into one of today's classrooms, she wouldn't skip a beat. Lol bash. Moving from a one-room schoolhouse to a one-world schoolhouse is now a reality. Cisco Systems. If we don't focus on the experience dimension of learning, we run the risk of mistaking the publishing of information for learning and training. Massey. In education, the use it or lose it rule may mean that if you don't use technology for learning, you may lose relevance. An educator must be relevant. Teachers need to exist in the space the students exist. Understand their culture. You have no credibility if you're not where they are. Because the generation of students that I am teaching is an instant pudding, drive-through, microwave, download it from the internet, media-driven generation, I know that I must be innovative to keep their interests and to inspire in them a creative curiosity. Martin. I have to ask myself, do I create lifelong learners? Am I preparing students for my age or for theirs?
I am a teacher and a parent. As I watch my son grow, I am concerned about the world in which he's going to have to live.
The world is not a safe place.
He lives in a world which has more and more computers in it. The internet is an ocean of information. It is an awesome tool, but there are a few sharks swimming in that ocean. If my child goes out on the playground and is attacked by sharks, do I want his school to never let him out on the playground again? Or do I want them to teach him about the sharks so that he can safely go out on the playground?
Does your school belong to Facebook?
Do I want my child in a school that blocks social network sites? Do I want my child in a school that does not use emails and instead uses paper and more paper? Do I want my child in a school that does not recognize the fact that computers and the internet are going to be a part of his world? Is his school looking to the future? Or is his school four walls, a shelter against the real world, or an island of the past? Can my child respect such a school? Can my child respect a teacher who's not willing to meet him in his world? Will my child respect me if I'm not willing to meet him in his world?
Are you going to teach me in a school? Are you going to make me sit in the desk all day? Is this what you're going to use to teach me with? Is this what you're going to use to teach me with? Do you know how to use a computer? Do you know how to use a computer? Are you a teacher? Are you my teacher? Are you going to teach me using the internet? Are you going to teach me how to be safe on the internet? Do you know what goes on the internet? Are you sure you're my teacher? Are you sure you're my teacher? Are you going to learn how to use the technology? I'm a digital native. Do computers scare you? Are you afraid to use them? Have you been on Facebook? Have you been on Twitter? Have you been surfing? Do you even know what's on the internet? Are you going to be my teacher or just that test book? Because I want to know what the world has to offer, and if you're not on the internet and know nothing about computers, you can't be my teacher. I said you can't be my teacher. Make room for somebody who knows how to